Hey, and welcome to Out of Hiding, a podcast where we focus on growing in God by seeking His truth. Hosted by Dan Morrow and David Flores.
Well, I didn't know Amazon delivers packages at 4 o'clock in the morning until I got my ring, or not, my camera went off. 4 o'clock in the morning, Amazon took a picture and dropped it off my front porch. I was like, dang, that's kind of...
When you do like overnight, I noticed that they do that. And they'll actually ask you if you want to do it, you know, like they'll ask a delivery time, like 4 to 8 or 8 to 10.
I didn't even, I just clicked check out and I had no idea, but I thought that was pretty crazy. I mean, in the picture, everything's dark. I'm like, that's an easy way to get yourself in trouble. Lacey would have
out
freaked
here in
out.
East Texas?
Because Lacey leaves the house, like, she wakes up around 4 and leaves the house about 4:30 to go work out. I'm like, if she would have backed up and that van would have been right there, she probably would have went through the house with her car, being terrified.
Nobody's supposed to be there.
Yeah, so good thing that didn't happen. But,
thanks, Amazon.
Yeah, shout out Amazon. We did get our packages. She got our coffee cups, so that's all that matters.
That's all that
Very
matters.
important. How much stuff have you collected now that Amazon is even there? Because the natural progression is like, oh man, I want that, but I got to go to the store and I got to go through the line and I got to go get it. And I'm like, man, by the time I do that, I really don't want it.
Yep. Now it's too easy. You just click it.
Stuff.
Yep.
Did y'all watch that documentary on Stuff?
Uh-uh.
Oh, it's phenomenal. It talks about, it goes through all of it, how the marketing has been shifted to it, everything. It's this huge progression in time to take advantage of mankind.
Mm-hmm.
In a good way of just like buy. Consume.
Get.
One-use things. We're at an all-time high of things that get used one time and thrown in a landfill.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I believe it.
Okay, I'm off my soapbox. That's it. No more Facebook, no more of that. Okay. Troy.
I did the same thing. Had to get rid of Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff.
Yeah, you're off the gram?
I am. Had to get off of it. Kelly likes to send me reels at night, but...
Why did you get off of it?
Just distraction, and it's a time warp. You get on it and you realize an hour later that you're, so deep into it and you're looking at stuff. You're like, why am I even doing this? This is a waste of time. Some of it's funny, but it's like, I'd rather be doing other things now. It's like, and I realize it's taken away from family time and all that too. So just got to get rid of it.
Mm.
Made the choice.
Hold on a second. Let me check my Facebook real quick.
Exactly.
Let me see that real quick.
Exactly. I know.
No, I'm with you. I get it.
It's hard, like Jesse took the break.
Troy, pull that mic closer to you if you don't mind. There you go.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, don't molest it, but
Caress it. Talk sweet to it.
I remember that. That was me and Don's life. Our life was not even intimacy, and I don't mean physical. I mean emotionally, mentally. We would just sit at home after work, and we were in the same room, but we weren't in the same room.
No, I know.
Check
that right there is a big thing too, because I put Naomi to bed, our daughter, and Kelly's in there. That's her time. That's her free time. Where, all right, you got the kid. I'm going to come in here and just hang out and look at reels and watch videos and stuff. So I come in there. We go to bed, and we were like sending reels to each other. We're like laying right next to each other. It's like, what are we doing?
Man, I catch myself.
Are we talking or something?
I host here at church now. I get nervous because I'm on Marketplace, lowballing everybody.
Look at this guy.
So you're gonna get
I'm like,
those guys.
I'm like, oh man.
Yeah,
I'm like,
look at this
$100. I got $20. I'll pick
You
it
walk
up.
up there one day and they just start booing you. Boo.
I know.
He takes them offering. They're like, we got 1%.
I'll say it's still available.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's my bad thing. I'm like, man, I gotta quit asking people if it's still available. They're probably like, this dude.
Well, people nowadays, man, they put it like, don't ask me if it's up, don't ask me if it's available, and no low balls. I know what I got,
I know what I got.
I know what I got.
I know what I got. Hey, will you take 300? No.
Let's go. Yeah. That's funny.
Well, Troy, tell us about yourself, man.
Well, I mean, you want the beginning, or where do you want
Start where you want to start.
It's Well, I guess I'll start by saying, well, we moved out here and we bought some land in 2019, built a house in 2020, moved out here, and we been here, for a minute. Got plugged in instantly, pretty much, and it was back in the day whenever we would come and visit, Radiant, back before we were actually living out here, and that's where I met these two guys going to Men's Summit, and I got to experience that with them, and that was super cool. So you didn't get to, no, you weren't able to go to Men's Summit.
I did go to Men's Summit. I don't remember what year it was.
Third, okay.
I think it was the last
I
one
remember
we went to. Yeah.
I remember that now. Okay,
Yeah.
because you were talking about the worship and how awesome, and the guys, and it is cool. But before that, I mean, geez, was I guess I can share that as far as like the Lord, I got saved at 13 years old in a little Baptist church in town.
Where was in town?
In town, Bedford. So I grew up in the Hershulus, Bedford area.
Okay.
So Tarrant County, the Fort Worth side. And this was a interesting kind of story here because it was a church bus. Somebody had a bus ministry. And
I thought you said bust.
I did too.
Bus.
What happened?
I was like, dang, that's a story.
This
That'd
was a
be a
church
ministry.
bust.
That'd be anyway.
Sorry.
Sorry,
FBI
bus.
stuff? Bus.
Yeah, it was, so they had a church bus that came to the neighborhood, and I got on it one day. And parents got divorced when I was 4. My mom raised me, and she worked a lot, so I had a lot of alone time and stuff. So anyway, I just, kind of me growing up was, as far as, God in my life, it was our family played cards together and stuff on Friday nights. And so I had aunts and uncles that would, get into some discussions about, certain things. And one of them was a fundamentalist like Baptist, and the one was more of a Pentecostal type. So we had some interesting conversations growing up, and which was all good. But that was the extent of it. So anyway, this bus pulled up, and they actually knocked on the door. I guess they knew there's some kids that lived in our neighborhood, so they came out and invited me to church, and I hopped on the bus and went. Nowadays, I can't imagine people doing that now, especially in town.
They still do it. Over Wills Point's got a, what church is that? They got a bunch of buses. They bus them all over town.
That's cool. That's good. I'm glad they still do it, because it got me in. So, but went there when I was 12, and just started going to church there, and decided to get saved, and so did that. Got baptized, but that was at 13, kind of going through high school age and stuff. It was, mom never went to church, didn't have anybody to go with me, so I kind of quit going and fell away.
Did you start out relational with God, or did you start out with more, hey, all right, I'm a good person now because I go to church and I'm saved. Yeah. When did it become relational? I mean, if that's later in the story, we'll wait till we get there. But I was just curious if it was immediately relational, or if it was more of a procedural thing, like I want to do this.
Yeah, so a little bit of both.
Yeah.
And when I say that, it was, I was going, and then the friends in the neighborhood, I was trying to get them to go. And so I would, kind of, invite them to come on and get in the bus. Let's go and do that. And actually, I had an aunt and uncle that was living out here in the Alva Golden area, and they moved into town, and they were looking for a church, and I mentioned, hey, I'm going over here. So toward my 13-year, when I was 13 years old, they actually started going to church with me, and that's when, that kind of connection happened. So I had them for a little bit, but and actually my uncle was one of the pivotal guys that he was actually walking me through what it meant to be saved and what that looked like, because I was asking him. So he communicated what it was and what it is, a relationship and change. And so I went down, and that's when I actually went up front and got saved. But the relational part was just inviting people to, you know, friends and stuff to go to church and try to get mom to go, but she was just working long hours and just couldn't do it. But I'll say one thing, that I wasn't discipled. I didn't have anybody there in high school that really supported that. So I kind of fell away.
Mm-hmm.
And I became I was the good boy. So in high school, I rebelled against that. So I started doing some stupid things and just for whatever reason, I didn't want to be the good guy anymore. And I wanted to, because I saw that as, I guess, a weakness, honestly, during high school. So, because
the weakness in what respect? You think it wasn't cool to be the good guy, or?
Well, this is going to sound weird, but talking to girls, I had a lot of girlfriends because I would talk to them and just relate, and so I was a good guy. Some of them actually, I was interested in. They're like, oh, well, we're just really good friends, and I consider you like my best friend or whatever. And I'm like, well, I want to be more than a best friend.
Yeah.
I want,
Yeah.
Come
so
on. I
need to look a little edgy. I need to get out there and do some things. Yeah.
I'm in the friend zone forever.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I decided to start rebelling a little bit. And I didn't go crazy because I had, I had plans and I had things that, I didn't want to go do anything that was going to, mess up career moves or whatever. But,
you weren't completely stupid.
Yeah, I didn't go just off the wall and off the chain, just doing crazy stuff. But I did rebel. So, that manifested in different ways. I was never, I'll say this, that I was exposed to a lot of stuff, and thank God I did not partake in some of it. I'll say that I had family members and friends, doing drugs and stuff, and I was in the room with them when they were doing it, but I never did it, which I look back and I just, that's all God. And I had a grandmother that she prayed all the time for me, which I attribute a lot of that to, she was interceding definitely for me. But, I was exposed to stuff, to adult content and things like that, just takes away your innocence and all that. So, and when I'll fast forward a little bit. So going into college, I met Kelly, and Kelly's my wife, Kelly McFarland.
Yeah. Oh, she took your last name?
She did. She did. It was a whole, process, and I had to,
that bad boy persona paid off.
Had to marry her and all that. No. Exactly. But one thing we did was we went through some counseling, marriage counseling, and one of the things, so I was, I fell off and was backsliding.
Is backsliding a term the modern kids even know anymore?
I don't know.
It's not as prevalent as it used to be.
It was such a heavy term when I grew up.
Yeah.
And I feel like some people today don't even know what backsliding means.
That's the first time I've ever heard it.
That's the first time you ever heard it?
Are you serious?
Point.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
So backsliding was so prevalent, it started making its way into the rock. There was you remember the Toadies?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the Toadies,
The band,
lead singer,
Toadies,
their first, one of their first albums had a song on it called Backslider.
Oh wow.
And it was all about it. It was such a prevalent term in I didn't think he would know it. That's why I brought it up. But tell him what backsliding is.
Backsliding is, kind of what I just communicated about getting saved, starting that walk, but then you start turning the other direction. You start kind of sliding backsliding. It's like you kind of slide back into
I had the idea.
some of your old, things you did or whatever. You're not living a walk that would be.
I have a question. So when you met Kelly, did she know about all the backsliding, or you put up a good boy front?
Yeah, well, I was about to get so it was funny. She jokes about it now, but one of the things when we were talking, before we actually started dating, she asked me if I was a believer, and I told her I was a Baptist. That was my answer. So I didn't say I was a believer. I said I'm a Baptist. Mm-hmm. So that kind of tells you where I was at, kind of more religion than
you were a card
relationship.
Like, it's okay, I'm a
I
Baptist.
wouldn't, well, I wasn't a member of any church, but it was like, yeah.
Well, you associated that,
answer.
though, with...
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
I've been there. I've done that.
So, she kind of laughed about it, but, that didn't turn her away, I guess. But both of us were actually going through some stuff where we were rebelling and kind of doing similar things. So, we had that in common, I guess. But we started, getting serious and started dating and stuff. And then we went to marriage counseling. We were going to get married in the church that she went to out in Peaster, Texas.
Peaster?
So, Peaster Church.
The basketball program out
Peaster
there.
has a great
Oh,
basketball.
yeah.
They're always
I'm surprised you know
competitive.
about Peaster.
Oh, I know all about Peaster.
I mean, they're big now.
Peaster had a redheaded kid that just was
Cold-blooded.
He was a killer.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, my sons went and played college ball with him.
Oh, wow.
And he was a killer in college. Just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Come right out of Peaster.
Yeah. No, they had a huge basketball program. Yeah.
Sidebar there, but
That's what they're known for.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Just for the record, though, Martins Mill beat Peaster
They did.
with the cold-blooded redheaded killer.
I saw
Oh,
it.
no.
I saw
Because
it.
there was these twins on this other team that were also cold-blooded
Cold-blooded
killers.
killers.
Anyway,
That's
epic,
awesome.
epic, right?
That's cool. Yeah. I have to tell Kelly that.
No, let Dan.
If you don't mind, I would like to be the one to share that.
You wanna rub it in.
Come here, Kelly. I got something to tell you. Yeah.
Yeah. You should do that. So went to counseling, marriage counseling, and something that the only thing that I really remember out of that whole, counseling session was, and he was actually the youth pastor there. He said, he's like, Troy, you're going to be the spiritual leader of the house, and you're going to have, you're going to have an account for Kelly. And so you got to, whatever Kelly's doing, you're going to be held to, answer for that too. And that, I didn't really understand it, but I did. I understood it enough to where it kind of wrecked me. And, it really made me think about, the path I was on and things I was doing. And I'm like, this ain't good, because if I gotta, defend, how our household is acting and what we're doing and all that, it's going to be bad. And so that kind of led to Kelly and I both going through a time of just kind of coming back to God. And one thing we did, we were living up in Denton when we got married, and started going to a church up there, a Baptist church, because that's what I know. And we took Experiencing God. It was a Bible study. Out of that dozen, probably had about a dozen people in that Bible study, and half of us had an encounter with Holy Spirit. And when I say that, I don't know how that, Experiencing God became the catalyst for that, but we had people. One lady started speaking in tongues. I had dreams and visions. I was having these vivid dreams. It was like, this is not something I've ever experienced. And I knew that there was something to it. And so we started sharing in the Bible study. And then one of the ladies, the lady that was speaking in tongues, she was like interpreting that dream and stuff. And it was just a whole, just eye-opening.
Did that freak you out at first, or?
Yeah, I didn't know what, I was just, as a Baptist, that stuff doesn't really happen. So It was something new. And it was beautiful though. It was so cool. And the speaking in tongues part was, I was like, man, I don't know about that. That's kind of weird.
What are you doing over there?
Yeah, what is all that? What is all that? Hudabana Shanda, or whatever you're saying. I was like, I don't know about all that. Yeah. But the dream was just amazing, and it actually kind of morphed into both of us having dreams and stuff. And some of the dreams, I will admit, were we got to see kind of more in the demonic stuff that was happening. And when I say that, like Kelly, she woke up screaming. She actually saw like a demonic presence in the bed, like the bedroom. And she said she saw hell and got all this. She was like, it jacked her up for a while. She didn't even want to talk about it. And I had stuff to where, you know, the way that it kind of got me was I had some magazines, you know, that were in a nightstand or something. And I was trying to, you know, like cull all that stuff, get rid of it. And I forgot about some that were, you know, in a place I didn't look or whatever. Anyway, and I saw just, it was like a demonic, you know, it was one of the girls, but it, you know, she turned into, I mean, it was nasty, man. It was bad. You know, like she was trying to eat me. It was gross. It was like, I didn't get rid of all this stuff. This is not, this ain't good. So that was kind of the way in which, you know.
So let me ask you this, Troy. All this starts happening. Who are you going to? Who are you asking questions to? You know, like all that kind of stuff, you know, because like, I got questions, you know, like immediately after something like that happens, like somebody tell me what's going on. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, so we went to, you know, we came back to the Bible study, and the leader of it, we were, you know, he was more sympathetic to it all. He was like, wow, this is crazy. I don't know why this is all happening, but, you know, hey, let's go talk to the pastor. Yeah, pastor, no uncertain terms, told us that, you know, he couldn't support that, and he didn't know why it was happening, but he's like, hey, don't speak in tongues, don't do this stuff in church, don't, you know. So he kind of squelched it. Yeah. So shortly after that, we started looking for a new church, just to be honest, you know, somewhere where I can, you know, kind of grow and learn and all that. And we went over to.
So hang on just a second. How did you feel at that point? Did you start to second guess? Well, maybe that wasn't God, because the preacher's telling, or was it so vivid it was unmistakable to you? Because I think there's something that in my life, you know, I've felt like God has spoke to me something, and then someone comes like that and they just steal it from me. Yeah. How did you negotiate that?
All I can say is because, and that's how I attribute it to Holy Spirit, because it was way different. Like it wasn't a normal dream. Yeah. In the case that.
So you basically just kind of said, man, he doesn't understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It was too vivid for you. It was too real.
Yeah.
And so you went out seeking. Okay. Yeah.
Seeking answers and seeking something else. And, you know, I still had a lot of Baptist in me, so I was slow walking this path. Kelly was way more open to, you know, let's go to Pentecostal churches, let's do that, you know. And I was like, whoa, hang on, you know, slow your roll. Yeah. But the lady who was speaking in tongues, you know, Kelly and her, she went to Covenant Church in Carrollton. That's where they went, and it's more of a charismatic church. And so they would go there, and I was still kind of, you know, I was, again, slowly walking this out. So I told her, hey, let's go to Denton Bible Church. So, which is not charismatic so much. It's more charismatic than the Baptist church was, but it was a teaching church. It was a Bible church. So I was just, you know, really what drew me to that church was just the teaching and all that. And it was deep. But, you know, we were there a year, I think, and they were doing a Q&A. So there's a lot of UNT and TWU students that went to that church. So there were apparently a lot of the students were asking questions about, you know, Holy Spirit and such. And so from the pulpit, you know, the pastor said basically, hey, you know, I don't believe in Holy Spirit. And I believe that stuff stopped, you know, the early church. That's not for today. We got the Word of God. The Holy Spirit's just the breath, you know, of God. And that, you know, so totally. All right, babe. Well, I guess this is, you know, then this is good for the teaching, but as far as Holy Spirit, our questions aren't going to get answered here. So that started our journey. We went to a couple of churches up there. We went to, what was that one? Gloria Zion. That was a
Chuck Pierce.
Yeah, that was for real. That was for real. Yeah, it was way charismatic, and so I was I didn't know what was up because I walked in.
Did you get hit in the head with a banner?
Well,
a flag?
So, hey,
I know there's got to be a story.
I know. I walk. So I walk in. Or we walk in, and I'm like, man, why is the floor all squishy? It's like got padding on it. What is this about? I found out later. So it was a new experience. It was cool, But yeah, there were definitely some banners, worship got going and doing laps but that again was, it's just kind of like you're swinging, you swing one way, then you swing the other way because you want to experience it.
Yeah.
And that I told Kelly's like, this is awesome. I'm like, babe, I'm not ready for this. This is weird. And there was a lady next to me. I thought she was having a seizure. She was, anyway, I don't mean to bring or, make fun of that or nothing like that. It's just like, I wasn't ready for that. I'll just say it. I wasn't ready, So we were going to other churches, and fast forward a little bit. I got up one day, I think I was watching Daystar, and I heard about Gateway Church. And so this is way back in the day, early. So 2003, 2004. And I just told Kelly, I was kind of praying about it. And we were literally going to I think it was called New Hope Church or something like that. It was a startup church in Denton, and it was fine, but we were planning on going there. And while I was driving, I just kept hearing, go to Gateway, go to Gateway, go to Gateway. We were in Denton, so I had no clue when the service started or anything. So we just turned, and I told Kelly, I'm like, hey, I just feel like we need to go to Gateway today. She's like, okay. And we never left. So we walked in, and like that place was home, and it was just felt like this is it. It's where we need to be. And that was that kind of middle ground that, they would kind of describe themselves as Baptist-costals, and that's pretty accurate. So they're not, during a normal service, preaching or whatever, you won't hear anybody, busting out in tongues or nothing. But that stuff did happen. The church moved in the prophetic a lot, which was amazing. That was super cool. My first experience with that, kind of like, with Gabriel and, so how you felt. I got exposed to that because when we joined the church, they had a new member. They called it a new member presbytery, but it's just a time you come in and they pray over you and prophesy. And they just were hitting the nail on the head. I mean, it's like how they don't even know me. They don't know me straight up. And they're just nailing it and, reading my mail. And it was just the coolest thing.
So it was like what you were looking for.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And it was just that place to where it was a healthy balance of, teaching, but also, gifts, and the stuff still happens. And it was amazing. It was good.
So you got involved there, and I heard that you were kind of the orchestrator behind all of the fog and smoke.
Not quite.
That's what Phil said. I don't know. I'm not trying to stir anything up here.
Oh, I
I'm just trying to get to the facts.
I know. There's a few in the church here that I like to push their buttons a little bit on that, but I won't say any more names. But yeah, I did. I don't know. I can't remember. Maybe 3 or 4 years into it, I decided I was wanting to do technical arts. That was kind of a gateway into serving and doing something. So I was a stage manager for a while, and then I moved into the lighting, to your point, to lighting and the haze and all that stuff. So
you're talking about a church that has multiple locations. Back in that day, you're talking 100,000 attenders on this Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Like, this was a big thing.
But when I first started doing the TA, the technical arts, we were still, which is King's University now, but it was the smaller location. And we didn't have any satellite campuses then. It was only one location, yeah. Mm-hmm. And so, but it was still a good-sized church. I think it sat 900, the auditorium did, somewhere close to that. But yeah, doing stage manager stuff, and that was cool and fun. And then doing lighting, and then monitor board, and did that for a while, and decided, I'm trying to remember what happened. Oh, I remember. So still on this voyage of Holy Spirit, we went to a deal in Dallas called Firestorm, and it was Reinhard Bonnke, if you remember him. He was big missionary to Africa, and just amazing things happening at his crusades and stuff. Yeah. And I'm trying to remember, Kalinda was the guy that was with him or something.
That's like his right-hand man.
Yeah. But Delirious was there. I think it was at their last one of their last concerts.
Delirious.
Oh yeah, Delirious was amazing.
Old school, the best.
Loved
Laid
it
down.
But they had it's kind of like an impartation type event, and that, and what I mean by, impartation? It's kind of best way to describe it is, you got Reinhard Bonnke, which his crusade, you're talking millions and millions of people. It is just a sea of people out there, and just crazy stuff happening, amazing stuff happening, radical transformations, healings, all of it. And so it was like a mini version of that, to where, we're there at I think it's the Dallas Convention Center, but, hundreds and hundreds, thousands of people there, and he's praying over people. And he was praying for an infilling, to be baptized in the Holy Spirit. And so it was just an amazing time. And that, I can honestly say that from that point forward, things were way different with Kelly and I. I mean, they were way, way different. And it was shortly after that we started, I kind of moved out of technical arts, and I started leading a life group. And that went into, leading life groups, and then did that for years, and started, Kelly got into Freedom Ministry. They were starting that at Gateway. And so she got into that. I would help a little bit, but just serving, just doing stuff, serving, and getting kind of out from behind the scenes. And I went through, I wouldn't call it a freedom session. It was more of a deliverance back in the day, but went through, got some.
Like Deliverance the movie? Or no,
it's it. Well, let's just say I'm going through the training now with Freedom 421, and it's not the same. Yeah. It's a different model. Gotcha. Which ours is better here, the Freedom 421. But now this is deliverance, as in, you do this questionnaire. What have you been exposed to in your life? And they actually go through and they start speaking. They're like looking at you, saying, you spirit of fear, get out of, and it's like they're looking at you though, and you're looking at them, and you're like, this is weird. Okay.
Like jackhammering you.
Yeah. But, I didn't know any better and didn't know any different. Gateway changed their model shortly after that, but it was more akin to Freedom 421. But I still got a lot of benefit out of that. So, and what I mean by that, there was some stuff that prior to that, I did not want to speak in front of people. I did not want to be out front. I was very much, behind the scenes, just in the shadows, just super introverted. And it was like, I didn't want, nope, I'm good. We led a life group, but that was like the extent. And even that, it was hard for me to do. But after that deliverance session, it was, stuff changed, and it was a lot of the stuff that I had believed a lie about. So, but that it kind of steamrolled into different, serving in different areas, different aspects. And, I loved it all. And it's just like, but it was like a tangible jump up, and just being, just out there and doing things and saying yes, and just not being scared, that's a big deal. And we did our first mission trip in 2010, and it was we went to Sierra Leone, Africa, and we did that, and it was our first trip, and it was a big one, going to Africa, and just so amazing, so different than what we what we have here in the States. It's just amazing how we just don't see stuff.
So tell me the move. Why the move to East Texas?
To East Texas. So East Texas, it basically Kelly approached me, and said, "Hey, I want to raise Naomi out in the country." That was it. And so it was, we prayed about it. I had a good job at, where I worked before, and liked what I did, and we were plugged in, of course, at the church, and it was God, because if you see it and look at it, it's like, why are y'all moving? You got a healthy, church life, you're in leadership, you got a good job, you're doing all this stuff, and it was time. It was
You
time.
just knew.
Yeah, we had talked about it, and we just made the plunge and did it, and God had got me a job out here, Greenville, but it's close. Mm-hmm. And found land, and I did some research on churches, and so, and back then it was Camp Foursquare,
Mm-hmm.
but it was like, this is sounds like a good church, and we visited, and anyway, it was pretty seamless. It didn't have it, it had some challenges, but it was, you could tell God was in it, because it was, everything fell into place. And we knew that, we're supposed to be doing something out here. It's like a calling that we definitely felt. So, yeah, decided to do it.
Yeah. And so I'm going to kind of go back to that dream for a little bit. When all that took place, did you immediately just change everything, like your life, your, like, whatever you saw in that dream? Like, were you praying out, say, hey, help me? Were you talking to people? Like, how did that take place? Like, what I'm trying to get to is, if somebody has shame on something, or addiction, or whatever it is, like, what was the process like for you to say, I'm done, like, no more, like, I'm putting this up, I'm putting it away, it's out of my life?
Well, the dreams and stuff way back, a lot of the stuff was kind of convicting. Some of it was convicting, like I mentioned about seeing some of the dark stuff.
Yeah.
But the good stuff was, it gave hope, hope for there's something more and there's something better. And, the only way I could describe it, man, is, Holy Spirit was just coming alive, and I was listening to him more too. So he was like, hey, you probably shouldn't be doing that. It's destructive, and it's causing issues in your marriage. And
Was there a door that you opened, or a willingness, or a desire, or were you knocking whenever that took place? Were you just actively seeking the wisdom of God, or were you...
all I can attribute it to really is that experiencing God class. I mean, there was obviously a willingness, because we got back
you were at a
in.
class. I mean, you were wanting to find out from God, because you were willing to go to the class. And
I didn't know what it looked like. I was trying to re-engage in it, re-engage as, a husband, and as, again, going back to the counseling, I'm the spiritual leader of the house. What does that mean? How do I do that?
So what does that mean to you today?
It's that is something that I feel like us guys, we're constantly having to remind ourselves that we are the spiritual leaders of the house. And it's for years I let Kelly kind of take that role, right?
What role?
Spiritual leading, just kind of leading, just being more spiritual, being more going to church, doing the stuff, going to Bible studies. And, I see that. I mean, it's...
So did you go with her, or as a tag along, or did you hit or miss, or you just kind of followed her lead?
Kind of letting her do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just letting her go, and she would come home and, man, this happened. This is awesome. And
so what did you feel like in the time? And looking back, what was the family dynamic?
We both were working. I was working at Delta Airlines graveyard shifts, so that kind of caused some issues with doing some of this stuff. But no, Kelly just, we were young. We got married 20 and 21. So, and we got decent jobs, and, so we were kind of just trying to strive to get the bigger house and the new car and doing all that. So our focus was on just worldly things and keeping up with, everybody else.
Keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah. So during that time, it really became, like, hey, I need to quit doing that so much, because it's, and we were having issues too. There's tension in our marriage too. And
so what are some telltale signs of that tension, just for our audience? Actually, for me. I mean, I like to hear that. I love to hear other people's perspective.
Yeah.
Because we're all so different, right? But we're all also somewhat the same.
It was, well, striving for more money, striving for more position, striving for more titles. And actually, Kelly approached me. She was, we were living in Denton, and she was commuting to 75, North Dallas area. And she came in, after a 3-hour commute home, and she's like, Troy, I'm done. I'm quitting, and of course I was like, well, can't quit. We got bills.
So your decision-making process was financially motivated.
Yeah.
And hers was becoming more.
Yeah.
Well, obviously it was different. What was her motivating? Was it God? Was it her pursuit for God? Was it her?
Yeah, I think a little both. I mean, that's when we were both starting to get back, re-engage with God and getting back in church. Hers was, I think, just, she wanted to have a family too. So that was a big part of it. So she was kind of deciding that, this corporate life is not,
not for me.
It's not all cut up. Yeah, just too much stress, too much just wear and tear and frustration and stuff. So that kind of lent us also, because we want to start a family, that kind of lent us to go back to church too, going back to the spiritual leader of the house. And it's like, man, I'm going to worry about Kelly right now, but eventually we're going to have, a kid or whatever, and that's going to be a next level type thing. So, but I wasn't ready for that. I'll just be honest. This might segue into another topic, but I was scared to have kids, honestly. And it goes back to believing some of those lies and stuff. So my parents got divorced when I was 4 years old, and I was told I was the man of the house, and, I needed to look after my mom and all that just jacked upness that the 4-year-old kid should not be told that, in my opinion. But, so it caused me to grow up, pretty quick. And it kind of later on when I got married, I attributed having kids with getting divorced. For some reason, that was the lie I believed.
Oh, well, why wouldn't you believe that?
Yeah, well,
as a 4-year-old kid, you're going through it.
Yeah.
All that pain.
Yeah.
You're just storing it up, and wow.
Yeah. So it was actually before I did that deliverance session at Gateway, we went to marriage counseling at Gateway, and the pastor said, so why don't you want to have kids? And I was like, because I think we're going to get divorced if we do have a kid, And he was like, well, there's definitely some stuff here. And so I talked to him a little bit, but then he referred me and told me, hey, I should go, go through a session. And, there's obviously some stuff that needs, some inner healing needs to happen. And I'd say it helped, but it wasn't like, it didn't flip a switch to where I was
the silver
like,
bullet. It's, now everything's.
Yeah. But I understood that it was very important to Kelly, and I wanted to honor that. And I needed to suck it up and try to, get over, these feelings that I had that, they were, again, it was a lie, but.
So basically it started the journey though.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It started the journey, and it was a long journey.
Yeah, I bet.
20 years we tried to have kids. And we had a few early, miscarriages and stuff. So, that was a whole thing there too. But trying for 20 years, that's, praying for the folks here, like, that are going through infertility or loss or miscarriages and stuff. It is so hard. And it's, I was thinking recently, because giving hugs, and I think that was part of the way that the
You like
whole
hugging?
hug thing. Yeah, yeah.
You have a super,
there is a rumor.
You have a supernatural hug, Troy. Like, it's legendary.
It is.
It's also scary to some people.
I know. I know.
To me, I'm like, is that big deep breath you take? Is he going to suck my hair in?
Staring back of your head.
No, I'm kidding. I love your hugs, man.
I love your hug.
But I think that's kind of where that came about, because going through all that and talking to people and praying with people about having kids, and people praying for us to have kids, and we tried quite a bit of stuff, artificial twice, and went and we did all the taking temperatures and all this stuff, right? All the logistics that goes behind trying to nail down the time right now, got to perform right now. And it was
Schedule says.
No, hey,
Yeah. That was reality, right?
for real. For real. Kelly's going to kill me for saying that. But sorry, babe.
Don't forget Peaster either.
But it's just part of our journey, and we. I think I mentioned this to you here recently, but during this whole time of waiting for kids, I got to a point where I was done. I was totally done, and I was moving on with life. I was like, I can't keep, thinking about this, and I can't keep, monitoring, when's the best times and all that stuff. Kelly was still kind of doing it, but she was also kind of tapering off a little bit. She's like, this is stressing us out. And we got to a point where we were like focusing more on, okay, if we're not going to have kids right now, then we're going to focus our attention elsewhere. And that's where the mission trip stuff came in. And we started kind of going toward that route. Like, well, let's do short-term mission trips and do this and get more involved. And, because honestly, it kind of takes your mind off of the other. So, but we did a few mission trips. We did Sierra Leone, we did Haiti, we did Germany, and we went to Ireland, not as an official mission trip, but more of a, just a soul searching, because we felt called, and that's what I mentioned to you. Just felt called to Ireland, had this desire. It was just kind of swelling up in me, and Kelly both were just like, we got a heart for Ireland. And so we went there, I think it was 2016, we went to Ireland, and just an amazing time, and this, some of the places we were telling you and Don about going, Glendalough, and just that place is, man, it's a thin place. It's amazing. It's just so, something is different. So if anybody's looking for, Ireland ideas and where to go to Glendalough. It's an amazing place. But so there we kind of felt like, hey, this is definitely something that God is talking to us about. And we came home and all that, still kid, let's just have kids and all that. But so it wasn't gone, but it was like, okay, now we have two different loves, if you will. And I was just trying to get my head wrapped around that. Just frustrated, Lord, what do you want me to do? It's like we're trying to do this, but then this ain't happening, and we're not having kids. And the Lord told us we're going to have a kid, actually two kids, two girls, and one of the miscarriages, it happened, was it first? I guess it's the end of the first trimester or whatever. So it was early on, but we named that baby Hope for the reason, hope as in, because now at least we had, Kelly's pregnant for a couple of months. And so it gave us hope, because before that we didn't have anything, man. We didn't have any, miscarriages, nothing. So, but then we were, I was driving home from work, I was just so done. I was just done. I'm like, Lord, what are you doing? I was just questioning everything. And the Lord told me, hey, and it was clear as day. I want you to play Mumford and Sons, I Will Wait. And hearing that, I've listened to that song before, but he said, listen to the words of it. And this was after we got back from Ireland. And so, man, I listened to that song and it wrecked me. I was just ugly crying in the car to the point where I had to pull over. And it was like, okay, I hear you. And there's, the lyrics of that song, part of it is, I will wait for you, but one of it is, I will kneel down, I will know my ground, and it's like going back to Ireland, and there's another verse in there where it's talking about paint my heart, gold, and my heart, slow your heart or whatever. And one of the places in Ireland that we went to, we visited, it was so surreal. It was so beautiful in the Wicklow Mountains. And it was at dusk, and it was just, it was gold. It was just, I can see where people, dream about fairies, and because it was like, there's like little bugs, just floating around. It's like a dream, man. It like was magical. So cool, magical. Yes. It was so awesome. And so with that verse, it took me right back to that place. And at that place, Kelly and I, we were like alone. We were driving, we were in the middle of nowhere. There's like nobody around. And we just saw that and we're like, dude, look at that. That is so beautiful. And we pulled over and just stood out there and just soaked in it, man. It was so cool. And it was, we were praying out loud and, just thanking God for letting us be at that point at, that specific time. And we actually, Kelly goes, Lord, show us a deer. And I kid you not, there was a deer that popped out of the tree line and kind of walked over into the field where we could see him and stuff. And it was just like, a thin place, a very thin place. And so that song just made me go back there, and I'm like, all right, so I will wait. So I'm like, I guess we're going to wait on Ireland. And shortly after that, we found out that Kelly was pregnant. And, it's a whole another long story about going to another infertility, place, and them telling us that we had, like a 9% chance of IVF working. So it's like in man's, eyes, in man's, science, you get about 9% chance of, very evasive procedures actually working out for you. Then shortly after that, it was like 2 months later, all natural, just, she's pregnant. So it was just amazing. And it's just, through this journey, and do I understand it all? I don't know. I don't understand it all. But it's like, even with all the lows and the highs and the asking why and the questions, he was there, and he's carried us through it. Thank God. It was, and we have a blessing now. We have, Naomi, and I just, I had to pray early on that she wouldn't be an idol, because it was just, we wait for something that long, and you just love it so much, you just cherish it. So, but I dedicated her. I'm like, Lord, this is our first fruits. She's dedicated to you, because obviously she has a calling, because she was, hard fought to get here. So she's got to have something big on her life that she's going to accomplish. So
it's great.
Yeah.
I love it.
Man, Troy, what you got for the listeners? If you can give them one thing, if you could tell them one thing, do one thing, what do you got for them?
Just in those times where you're asking the why and you're questioning everything, God's big enough. Let him have it. Ask him. If you're upset about something, talk to him. Just be, people think that you can't, I can't say that to God, or I can't. That's what he wants. That's part of having a relationship with somebody, is you spill your guts and you share, your hurting and your questions and all of it, because stuff, we don't know all the answers,
Yeah.
But I'd say just lean on him, and he's going to turn it all. It probably won't be in your timing, but he'll turn it all.
Yeah.
Turn it all around.
I think I got to add this too, and correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think it ever hurts to just turn on some Marcus Mumford and Sons.
It always helps me. It always helps me. Yeah. I'm a huge Mumford, Marcus Mumford fan. I love him.
Ab and I went and saw Mumford and Son before COVID.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we went to American Airlines Center, and we sat like up the top of not the top, but the top of like the lower tier. Mm-hmm. I kid you not, Marcus Mumford made his way all the way singing, all the way down, all the way up, and stopped right behind me and Adam and sang there for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh, and as he was singing,
it was magical.
He was crying. I was crying. Adam was crying.
Serenaded
you. It was such a cool.
So
it was like I was like, okay, God, you love us. You love us.
So good.
Touch.
Like he was like, just right there, just singing.
Right, like as close as we are. And
that's cool.
The lady behind us is like, you two have to be the biggest fans I've ever seen. We were like,
yep.
Well, thanks.
Yep. Yeah. What's your favorite Mumford song?
Probably I Will Wait. That's the one I always go back to.
Yeah. It's a good one.
It's good. There's a lot. I love that kind of folk. Just
me too.
Yeah. I wish we could incorporate some, upright bass and some banjos in the worship team, but maybe one day. I don't know.
You gotta learn how to do it.
Yeah,
I know, right? You want it?
If you're having a bad day, go see Troy. Get you a Troy hug.
That's it.
Hey, that ain't no lie. That Troy hug is legit.
Yep, get you one of those.
Powerful.
Thanks, Troy, for coming on.
If you're afraid of hugs, I'm
so.
going to challenge you right now. If you're afraid to be hugged, put your fear aside for a minute and just go get a hug from Troy. Literally, you don't know what God can do with that. Mm-hmm. I believe in that.
It's definitely, man. It ministers to me too. That's
if nothing else, he'll suck the dust off of you.
Love you, Troy. Appreciate you coming on.
Oh no. Yeah.
Thanks, Troy.
Cool. Thank you.